It looks massive, but not everything big on Pandora wants to kill you. Welcome to the episode of Pandora through a biologist's eyes. For this episode, we are here in the clouded forest, and we're going to look at an animal that is pretty impressive. And that, of course, is our Sailfin Goliath over there. I've actually started from the bottom because I stumbled upon it earlier in this game, where it was still night, so you're gonna see, it's standing up and awake. But the Sailfin Goliath is pretty impressive and pretty interesting, because it has similarities to the soundblast colossus, that, can probably link it if I've made another video about, or showed some short videos about it, where it does this defense mechanism. But just by a quick glance, it looks similar to it, but it has these big feather-like, lemon-like structures. And the Pandora lore also suggests that, of course they are, it disperses seeds, so you're going to see that, or spores in this case, so it maintains this little garden area. Or you can also find this specific sailfin blossom. And it's said that it takes care of these gardens. So if we look at it up close, we can first off see the sail that looks similar to the sailfin, to the sail the soundblast has, but doesn't seem to have these air openings. What is interesting about it, because also the hunter guide states it, and everything in nature usually when you have big elaborate structures, that they are for mating or impressing, potential mates purposes. But for this animal, this sailfin, they're unsure because so far mating hasn't been observed yet. Or any potential partners, they seem to be really solitary. That's really interesting, they maintain this little ecosystem. Of course it is something that happens in nature too, because there's a relationship between plants and animals. And a lot of plants use animals to disperse their seeds. Just think of all of the plants that need pollinators, such as bees or butterflies. And of course we also have larger animals that are to disperse seeds. There are specific plants that rely on larger animals to transfer their seeds. And sometimes when one of those partners disappears, the plant has a problem. Good example is, of course, the big trees in the Americas. Since there was megafauna like mastodons, they dispersed the larger seeds, such as avocado seeds. So here we have, an animal maintaining its own ecosystem. Of course, this sailfin does it in a more active way. But a lot of animals also do it in a passive way. Whales, for example. Whale poop is really important for the ecosystem. So even though they feed from plankton and krill, they also maintain it with their poop by fertilizing the ocean. So you usually always have a relationship in nature. Yeah, so here in the hunter's guide, we have a little explanation. So, existing a state of calm and peaceful contemplation. And that they're an amazing animal to the Navi, because first off it represents their ideology, the way of living from Ewa. And it also seems to be rare, so it is, where wishful thinking gets you, that they're very rare to see as well. Although it must be said, they are in the forest, in the clouded forest, and as far as I'm aware, the Seswa are the ones from the plains, so I guess it would be meeting people from the north, and they tell you about elk, moose. You've never seen them before, so you're going to be oh, it sounds almost legendary because all we have are small deer. So I get it, right? Just stories, they're probably pretty rare, and by just looking at their structure, they're pretty impressive too. So here's the side-by-side comparison between a sailfin and our soundblast. So you can see that big crest in the middle is kind of similar. They've got a very similar face structure. They have very similar legs too, with the 3 trimmed hooves. So the soundblast has a tail with a little tip. So the tail is more pointy towards the end. And they have those structures at the side, so they can, move their sail, and they can open it to take air in and then blast it out. So for the Sailfin Goliath, those crests seems to be more structured, so they don't seem to be able to open them, so no air intake. They do have this fleshy crest, or like a second smaller sail to the both sides. They have a more pronounced head crest, and their tail is shorter with a more, looks like, cut off. They also look more glossy than the soundblast. The legs are similar, but they have those large scales on top. Are also their shoulders and their hips. It's really interesting to have, like, them side by side, to just look at both of them. You can see the head again, head up close. What is interesting, the sailfin, like when it opens the mouth, it has teeth, so it does probably need to eat plant matter. The soundblast does not have teeth. It has a sharper beak, probably similar. So the soundblast does not have a mouth with teeth. It has this beak like a turtle has, or birds. Can't say for sure if there's teeth in the, back of the jaw, because some animals have them, the teeth are hidden. They're like molars. But the sailfin definitely has teeth, so it apparently just like rips and chews plant matter with the teeth, I guess. Similar to how horses grab food. While the soundblast most likely grabs it by just like, ripping it with its beak. Maybe it has some hardened bladders. What is also interesting about the sailfin, you can see on top it has these little flaps up here, similar as the ikran has. It's also be seen in fish, they have this top. It is more mobile though, for example, than it is in fish, which is part of the upper jaw. But it could also have some sensory purposes, because we've seen it with some of the other herbivores, and again with the ikran as well. So Sailfin Goliath are pretty interesting and impressive. They're really large, and they use these laminars, these crest-like, feather-like structures to disperse seeds. And they look really impressive with the bioluminescence. And we can also bond with them.
That's it.
And it's going to bed now. That's cute. It's really beautiful too. So according to our Pandora lore, they use these big structures for dispersing spores of the plants. They seem similar to the soundblast colossus, and it has been also theorized in the guide that they like to, or maybe these structures also have a mating purpose, or with partners. But so far they've been pretty much solitary and no mating behavior has been observed. There are animals in real life too that disperse seeds, spores, even large animals. Some parts of the world, even foxes do that. Just a sleeping giant. You can see the rain of spores it has around himself, or herself. Well, I hope you enjoyed that episode. It was a bit of a closer one. I just wanted to show you the beautiful animal up close. That is pretty interesting from a Pandora perspective, because you, especially in this game with the game mechanics, it's an animal that you're not supposed to hunt at all. Like, you can't even do it. It's just like there to showcase the beautiful relationship that this animal has with nature, and kind of like symbolize the bonding that you can do with nature as well in this game. Because it's really important in this game that they want to showcase, that Navi way of living. So you don't really have this excessive hunting, which I'm pretty sure what the ferals are for. So you can just kind of like hunt them to your heart's content. But the other thing is supposed to be, like, hunting needs to be sustainable, and just show an animal that is very unique with a very very gentle, don't make material out of it kind of way. So I hope you enjoyed that. You've seen a little bit of the more aesthetically beautiful side of that game. And I hope you have a great day, and bye!